All right, so today we're going to kind of dig into something that I think we all struggle with a little bit, and that's setting goals that actually work.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about this idea of SMART goals. And we're going to be using an article from Indeed.com kind of as our guide for this.
Okay.
Um, and, I think Indeed is a pretty good resource for this sort of thing, right? They're a career powerhouse.
But before going to the full video, looking to boost your online security and streamline your work? Meet GoLogin, the ultimate tool for managing multiple accounts effortlessly. GoLogin is the best browser for multi-accounting. With GoLogin, you can protect your privacy and handle tasks like digital marketing, data collection, and testing in secure, isolated browser environments. Whether you're working remotely, managing multiple social media profiles, or running ad campaigns, GoLogin has you covered. So why wait? Take control of your online presence and sign up for GoLogin today. Experience seamless browsing with safety and ease. Now, back to the topic.
Current expenses in comparison to our allotted annual budget, and I will highlight areas where we are overspending. Based on our current spending, I will offer suggestions on how to cut expenses so that we are back within budget.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but it breaks down this daunting task
Right.
into actionable steps.
Yeah, you're not just saying I want to help the department stay on budget. You're actually giving really specific things.
Exactly. It's like taking this giant, intimidating project and turning it into a manageable to-do list.
I like that.
So how does this smart magic actually work?
Well, each letter in the acronym stands for a key element.
Okay.
So let's start with S for specific. So
Right.
instead of saying something vague like improve communication, a specific goal would be something like hold weekly team meetings with a clear agenda to discuss project updates and address roadblocks.
Okay, so we're really laser focused on
Yeah.
exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But then how do we measure progress?
That's where the M comes in for measurable.
Okay.
So this is where you identify concrete metrics to track your progress.
Okay.
So for those team meetings, you could track attendance, the number of issues resolved, or even conduct short surveys to gauge team member satisfaction.
So you're basically gathering data to demonstrate
Yeah,
how you're moving towards the goal.
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about hoping for improvement. It's about seeing tangible evidence that things are moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
But what about when we set goals that are maybe a little too ambitious?
Oh, yeah.
That's where A for achievable comes into play. And I got to say, this is where I struggle the most.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's easy to get carried away.
Yeah.
So the key here is to assess your resources, your time constraints, and your current capabilities.
Okay.
And sometimes it's about breaking down a large goal into smaller, more manageable milestones,
Right.
each with its own achievable target.
So instead of aiming to write a whole book, maybe I start with a chapter a week.
Exactly.
It's still challenging, but it feels a lot less overwhelming.
Right.
But how do we know if a goal is actually worthwhile?
Good question.
We could set all these achievable, measurable goals,
Right.
but if they're not aligned with our overall objectives, what's the point?
Exactly. That's where the R comes in for relevance.
Okay.
So this is where you connect the goal to your values, your long-term aspirations, or your overall mission.
Okay.
So let's say your big picture goal is to become a thought leader in your industry.
Okay.
Writing that book, even in smaller chunks, directly contributes to that larger ambition.
Okay. So it's about seeing how each goal, no matter how small, fits into the grand scheme of things.
Exactly.
This is already making me rethink my whole approach to goal setting.
It's a powerful framework.
It is. But we're missing one crucial element: time, right?
I got a T for time bound.
Okay.
This is all about setting deadlines. This could mean establishing a target date for completing the entire goal, or assigning specific time frames to those smaller milestones we talked about.
So it's like having a built-in accountability system.
Yeah,
A little extra push to stay on track and avoid procrastination.
exactly.
This is already so insightful.
Yeah.
But deadlines don't have to be rigid, right?
No, not at all. In fact, the Indeed article actually emphasizes the importance of flexibility,
Okay.
acknowledging that life throws curveballs and adjustments might be necessary along the way.
That takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah,
It's not about being perfect. It's about making consistent progress towards something meaningful.
exactly.
Okay, so we've broken down each element of this SMART acronym. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about how this framework can benefit teams.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I can imagine when everyone is on the same page and working towards these clearly defined shared objectives,
Right.
it probably eliminates a lot of confusion and fosters that sense of collective purpose.
Absolutely. And with those measurable targets in place, it's easier to track progress, celebrate wins, and make adjustments as needed.
Precisely.
Hmm.
But let's not forget about those personal goals, because the beauty of this SMART framework is its versatility.
Oh, for sure.
Whether you're aiming for a promotion or training for a marathon,
Right.
these principles can be incredibly powerful.
Absolutely.
Okay, I am officially a SMART goals convert.
Me too.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation, but let's talk more about that marathon example maybe after a quick break.
Yeah, I can't wait to unpack how the SMART framework can transform your personal aspirations. Okay, so let's imagine you've set this goal of running a marathon. How would you make that SMART?
Oh, man. Okay, so first, I think I'd pick a specific race,
Okay.
like an actual race,
Right.
and like set a target finish time.
Okay.
So instead of saying like, I want to run a marathon sometime,
Right.
I'd say something like, I want to run the Chicago Marathon in under 4 hours.
Okay, so you're nailing the S there, the specific part.
Right, exactly.
You've clearly defined what success looks like.
Exactly.
Now, how would you make it measurable?
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely use a running app to track my runs and log my mileage and monitor my pace. But I think I could also track things like my weight, maybe even body fat percentage,
Okay.
or even like how my clothes fit,
Oh, that's a good one.
because that can be a really good indicator
Absolutely.
of progress.
Yeah, you're gathering data that actually reflects your journey toward the goal.
Right.
Now, let's talk about achievable.
Okay.
If you're currently running a 10-minute mile,
Mhm.
aiming for a sub 4-hour marathon in like a few months might be setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, that's a little ambitious,
Right.
even for me.
So how do you strike that balance
Hmm.
between challenging yourself but being realistic?
Right.
It's about breaking down that big goal into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
So maybe you start with a 10K,
Okay.
then work your way up to a half marathon
Right, yeah.
before tackling the full 26.2 miles. Each step becomes a mini goal that builds confidence and momentum.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So I'm running, I'm tracking my progress, I'm feeling good,
Yep.
but then I hit a wall
Yeah.
and start questioning why I'm even doing this in the first place.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
Right, and that's when the R for relevant comes in.
Exactly.
Right.
This is where you really dig deep and
Okay.
connect that goal back to your personal values,
Mhm.
your motivations.
Okay,
Why is running a marathon important to you?
right.
Is it about pushing your physical limits, proving something to yourself, or maybe raising money for a charity
Oh, yeah,
that's close to your heart?
I love that.
It's like having this powerful why
Sure.
that fuels your commitment
Yeah,
when things get tough.
but even with all the motivation in the world, we still need a plan, right?
Absolutely. T for time bound.
There it is.
You need a deadline for that marathon itself, but also for each of those smaller milestones that we talked about. This could mean setting weekly mileage goals, scheduling specific workouts, or even blocking off time in your calendar for cross-training and recovery.
So it's like having a roadmap
Yes,
with clear checkpoints along the way,
exactly.
which makes the whole journey feel a lot less daunting.
Right.
But what I love about the Indeed article is that it reminds us that, life happens,
Oh, yeah,
and sometimes adjustments are necessary.
absolutely.
Like rigidity can be the enemy of progress.
Especially when it comes to personal goals.
Right.
Maybe you get injured, work gets crazy, your family needs more of your time.
Right.
The key is to be flexible, adapt your plan, and just keep moving forward,
Yeah.
even if it means adjusting your timeline
Right.
or your approach.
This is all starting to click for me. It's about progress, not perfection.
I like that.
This whole marathon example has me thinking, could we apply this SMART framework to other areas of life,
Sure.
like relationships?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Imagine setting SMART goals to improve communication with your partner, spend more quality time together,
Mm-hmm.
or even plan a dream vacation.
Okay, I am officially a SMART goals convert.
Me too.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked about SMART goals for work, for fitness, even relationships.
Yeah.
But how often do we set goals just because we think we should?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Without really examining why we're setting them in the first place.
I think that's a really crucial point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the shoulds,
Yeah.
Society's expectations, our own internal pressures.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't pause to ask, well, what do I actually want?
Exactly. And that's what I love about this whole SMART framework.
Right.
It forces us to get really specific to measure our progress,
Mm.
to be honest with ourselves about what's actually achievable,
Right.
and most importantly, to make sure that our goals are aligned with what truly matters to us.
It becomes about intentional living then.
Yes.
You're not just checking boxes.
Right.
You're actually crafting a vision for your future, one concrete step at a time.
That's beautifully put. It's about taking ownership of our lives and shaping them in a way that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
And it all starts with asking why?
Right.
Why this goal? Why now? What impact do I want to make?
Those are such powerful questions.
Yeah.
So as you embark on your own goal-setting journey,
Right.
remember, it's not just about achieving the goal itself.
Right.
It's about who you become along the way.
It's about growth, resilience, and the satisfaction of knowing you're living a life that's aligned with your purpose.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of SMART goals.
Yeah, this is great.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to set some pretty amazing goals of your own.
Until next time.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary direct.